That's it for us today.
Michael Bloomberg got over was the fact that he won running as a Republican in a city where Democrats have a 5-to-1 registration advantage. So really, it is extraordinary when any Republican wins the mayoralty of New York. This one even more so, given the fact that a year ago, Michael Bloomberg was, for all intents and purposes, completely unknown to most of the voters of New York City. It is really an extraordinary comeback. It was a remarkably tight race tonight. As the returns came in, the two candidates seesawed back and forth by, at times, no more than 500 votes this way, 1,000 votes that way. It really was an extraordinary process. And then a sudden burst of votes. We saw essentially a great number coming in all at once, and with now roughly 97 or 98% of the precincts reporting in unofficial returns, Mr. Bloomberg appears to have a lead at this stage of about 40,000 votes, according to the Associated Press. So really an extraordinary victory. It is, of course, the Rudy Giuliani factor, and that's what pundits will say about this. We have mentioned everything here about this extraordinary upset, except perhaps the thing that probably won it for him, and that is the fact that the incredibly popular mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, endorsed very publicly Michael Bloomberg just about 10 days ago. They made television commercials out of it, and Bloomberg, who, as we said, is a very wealthy man, spent an extraordinary amount of money in the campaign and an extraordinary amount of money on television commercials to trumpet the Giuliani endorsement. Giuliani, of course, extremely popular right now because of his leadership in the aftermath of the September 11th tragedy here in New York. So Michael Bloomberg is the mayor-elect, apparently, in New York City.
This is a medicine. These are the cells in your body. You take most medicines, and they scatter throughout your body to every cell. But right now, America's pharmaceutical company researchers are creating new smart medicines. They can ignore healthy cells and go straight to the disease to fight illnesses like leukemia, arthritis, and heart disease. Soon, there will be a lot more of these smart medicines. You can bank on it.
Bolla Wines of Italy. Open up.
Our fundamental commitment to the financial well-being of every one of our investors, individually, has not changed. The prudent counsel of our financial advisors in over 500 offices across America, informed by our worldwide network of resources, has not changed. The strength and dedication of all of us at Morgan Stanley has not changed and will not change.
If you're concerned about hair loss, call Hair Club now and get this booklet or CD-ROM free. It's packed with the latest information on hair loss breakthroughs from around the world, including hair cloning and genetic therapy. It's loaded with the latest updates on all the proven hair loss options available today, including approved drugs, shampoos, and Hair Club's new procedures. So call 1-800-HAIR-CLUB now to get more information. Hair Club, over 25 years of hair loss experience available at your fingertips.
What if you could earn your college degree from a leading accredited university, from home, at the office, or while traveling? At University of Phoenix Online, you attend class when and where you want, via the internet. You learn from current industry leaders, and you can earn your degree in just 2 or 3 years, so you can start applying it toward your success. To learn more, call 877-386-GRAD or visit our website.
It was widely expected when the Federal Reserve acted today, cutting 2 key interest rates by 0.5%, the 10th such action so far this year to stave off, perhaps help the after effects of what is now widely acknowledged to be a recession. But will it? Our report tonight from NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson.
To understand the frustration about rate cuts, go to this subdivision in Atlanta, the work of Wilmot Williams. Despite the lowest mortgage rates he says he's seen in 31 years, his business is down 10%.
We've had a switch from basically a seller's market to a buyer's market.
The downturn coming despite 10 interest rate cuts in 11 months by the Federal Reserve. Why haven't the rate cuts reversed the decline? Economists point to three things. First, the nature of this downturn. Unlike most recessions, this one was led by businesses, not consumers. And compared to consumers, businesses are notoriously unresponsive to rate cuts. Second, September 11th. The attacks devastating the airline, hotel, and tourism industries, hammering consumer confidence and pushing up unemployment. Third, in an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty, rate cuts themselves won't restore consumer or business confidence.
More than interest rate cuts, more even than more tax cuts, it will be necessary to win the war against terrorism before we can bring confidence back up to levels that we saw last year.
But economists point out the rate cuts have cushioned the blow, especially for consumers, helping lower interest rates for credit cards, cars, and mortgages. The refinancing business still booming. Applications the first week of October 800% higher than a year ago. Oz and Deneen Lindley refinancing their house for the second time in as many years. Their savings will build a nest egg.
$170 a month, $2,040 a year. If you invest that over the next 25 years, every year at 8%, that's $146,000 in early retirement.
Taking advantage of one benefit of rate cuts. Not a quick fix to America's economic pain, but economists say still an important part of a long-term formula to repair the struggling economy. Ann Thompson, NBC News, New York.
And as the Fed acted, as rates went down in Washington, to the north in New York, the markets went up on the news. The Dow closing up over 150 points. The Nasdaq up over 41 points in the end as well. We're happy to be joined tonight by CNBC anchor Tyler Matheson, who is with us from Capitol Hill in Washington. Tyler, you heard that last gentleman in the setup piece. Boy, he knew his figures, exactly how much he was going to save refinancing, how much more that meant in retirement. What is the message to people on the subject of refinancing?
Well, he had done the numbers, and that's exactly what you must do if you're considering refinancing, as really tens of thousands of Americans are doing. There are several rules of thumb that are applied here. You really only want to consider refinancing if, obviously, you can get an interest rate on a new loan that is at least 3/4 of a percentage point to a full percentage point lower than the loan you have now. So if your loan right now is 7.5%, you'd want to start thinking about refinancing at 6 3/4. You'd also need to be staying in your home for another 2 to 3 years. That's because when you refinance a loan, Brian, they're going to charge you those closing costs, and the amount of money that you're going to save from paying a lower monthly payment, you need to make it up. And if you're not going to stay in the home for 2 years or longer, you're probably not going to recoup those closing costs. Third thing, you don't want to take a loan that only has a couple of years left on it and refinance it and turn it into a loan with another 30 years to run. So we say make sure you have at least 15 years left on your mortgage before you consider refinancing. But if you can, if it does work for you, the numbers can be compelling, just as that guy in the piece said, Brian. Let's show you a couple of numbers here that we've worked up. If you had a 7.5%, $150,000 30-year mortgage, you'd probably be paying about $1,048 per month. If you're able to refinance it at 6.5%, which is an achievable rate these days, $948, you save $100 a month, $1,200 a year. I can do the math on that.
I don't know anybody who doesn't need $100 a month these days. Tyler, I note behind you the light at the very top of the Capitol is on. That means Congress is in session, and more these days they are working on the economy. The Fed did its part today, the 10th cut so far this year. They're looking at trying to quiet the damage from what everyone now acknowledges is a recession.
That's exactly right. And of course, there is a stimulus package that is working its way across Capitol Hill. The Senate Finance Committee Chairman, Mr. Baucus of Montana, today came out with a Democratic plan. It's far lower and far more skewed towards immediate benefits like extending unemployment insurance, ensuring such things as health insurance for people who have been laid off, than the Republican plan in the House. What's it going to take to get this economy going? Well, businesses have to be confident once again that they're going to be able to sell what they can make. They have to work through bloated inventories, work those down before they start to manufacture again at full tilt and hire scare people. Number two, we probably have to see some kind of positive breakthrough on the war front, because that is going to be the thing that's going to turn consumer confidence around. And the third thing, there probably does need to be a stimulus package coming out of Washington, and most people think that's probable by the end of this month. Brian?
CNBC's Tyler Matheson on the Hill for us in Washington tonight. Tyler, as always, thanks. We'll take a break. When we come back, did he ever mean for them to become public? A president just like the one currently in office, trying to run a war, his secretly recorded conversations from the White House.
In today's market, many stocks remain much the same as yesterday, although this is not necessarily an indication they'll be the same tomorrow, as they may or could have been at specific periods of the past. Further market developments are expected to occur. Some point in the foreseeable future.
Is your market news really in real time? Daytech, built to trade.
We're about providing financial solutions for people at growing companies. That's what we do at the Principal Financial Group. These are uncertain times. Everyone's very emotional right now. We understand the best companies are those that care about keeping their best employees. As the nation's 401k leader, we have more plans than anyone. We can help secure the financial future of your employees, which will keep you working together a long, long time. The Principal Financial Group. Call us if we can help.
Careful. That's a Zenith digital TV you're looking at. From big to small to flat to thin, you can't escape the power of Zenith Digital.
Reinvented Camry. Trust us, you're going to want one.
Are you getting your market information a little late? Daytech, built to trade.
An American president has committed U.S. troops in a foreign land, unfamiliar terrain, thousands of miles from home. It is true, of course, of George W. Bush, but few other presidents have known the mental and sometimes moral drain that warfare can bring. Tonight, we have a look inside the White House of President Lyndon Johnson, thanks to secret recordings Johnson made for posterity. Johnson recorded many of his telephone conversations while in office, and a new batch of tapes has just been published in book form, on tape, and on books on CD. Reaching for Glory is the second in a trilogy of books on the LBJ tapes by author and presidential historian Michael Beschloss. And earlier today, he dropped by so that we can bring you the primetime television news debut of the new tapes here tonight. Michael Beschloss, we are hearing words in the news media now like advisors, quagmire, B-52s, ground troops, unfamiliar terrain. The last time we heard some of these terms, Americans of a certain age will remember, was the Vietnam War, and it was presided over at its first stages by President Lyndon Johnson. Tell us what you've discovered in these tapes about what it was like for him to run this conflict.
Well, the amazing thing to me was that from the very beginning, he felt that he had to be in Vietnam. He felt that, he said, if I don't defeat these communists in Vietnam, we're going to lose the world to the Russians. And he said, if you don't stop the enemies at the door, they'll run through your house and rape your wife in your own bed. That's the way he used to say it. But at the same time as he felt he had to do this, he felt privately that there was no way to win this war, and it tortured him.
You reference his doubts about it. Let's pause here and listen to a conversation Lyndon Johnson with his Secretary of Defense, which he, of course, inherited from the Kennedy administration, Robert McNamara. This is June of 1965.
I don't believe they're ever going to quit, and I don't see how do we have any way of either a plan for victory militarily or diplomatically.
The conversation with McNamara, they have changed the government in South Vietnam. The United States has. We've learned a lot more since the Kennedy years of what actually happened behind the scenes, but we start to see the cracks in Johnson's comfort level and his confidence in the U.S. effort.
Absolutely. He felt that it was going to be hard to win this war, especially because he knew that the South Vietnamese were not committed. One thing he is told by his old friend Richard Russell, senator from Georgia, is, I heard the South Vietnamese are saying the Americans should fight this war and we'll sort of ride in the back, let them do it. Russell tells Johnson, if that happens, this is a war we shouldn't go into.
Let's talk about his personal guidance of the conflict. We have a commander-in-chief right now in the White House, very well aware of the fact that he has American soldiers in harm's way. Tell us about the late-night phone calls to the Situation Room. Johnson wanted to be told of targets that were hit, planes that were down.
Well, you know, Lady Bird says in these tapes, Lyndon told me I'm not temperamentally equipped to be commander-in-chief. And what she means and what he meant was that every single time those planes went out, he wanted to be woken up, and he was so involved in whether there was a death. If a boy went, he felt as if it was one of his own sons, and he was so emotionally involved in that war effort, he felt that it made him a worse leader. I think it made him a better leader.
There's evidence throughout he thought he was doing what Kennedy would have wanted. Yet today, when most people think of Johnson, he gets tagged with the Vietnam effort. Why the dichotomy?
Well, I think there are a lot of people who love John Kennedy who would like to think that had he lived, we would not have gotten into this tragic war. At the same time, Johnson's advisors were the people who he had inherited from John Kennedy. They all told him John Kennedy was committed to Vietnam. You have to keep that commitment.
What did Vietnam do to Lyndon Johnson?
It destroyed him. It destroyed his presidency, and it also did a lot to destroy the country. And the poignant thing, Brian, is that I found on these tapes, at the very beginning of the war, no one could see that better than Lyndon Johnson. He says, how can I fight a war with all these divisions in this country, with the South Vietnamese not really signed on? I think that it's going to do great damage to this country, but he saw no way out.
Who was Lyndon Johnson? I know it's a near impossible question to ask someone as immersed in his life as you are.
I think he was a wonderful man in many ways who, in 1965, wanted to eradicate poverty, bring civil rights and voting rights to this country, but who got sidetracked into a war that was catastrophic.
After the landslide election of 1964,